Well, welcome to the front row, Brooke. We're excited to have you here with us. Brooke Croshier-Sidebotham with us today from the University of Utah, the director of Stadium, Arena, and Campus Events. Did I get that right?
That's right. Yeah.
That's
long
amazing.
one.
Now, Brooke, you're not from Utah originally, right? This is a new place for you.
Yep.
How did you get here?
So I'm from the Midwest. I'm from Iowa.
Cool.
I had the opportunity to be able to be in this position. I was headhunted, actually.
Oh, wow.
Which was great. And you know, when they say that you've kind of hit those pinnacles in your career where you've done all the things that you think you can do, this is kind of the combination of all of the jobs that I've had in my past. And it just kind of came together as the right situation, right time. Again, moving a family from the Midwest to Utah was a unique experience.
Wow.
It is a 17-hour drive, so it is very long, but it's been great. The community is welcoming. The university I work for is amazing. My staff is great. Everybody's super supportive. And you know, being new, you make some changes and you see how people adapt to that. And they've been very adaptable.
So Utah, to those who are not from Utah, I came from Arizona originally, could be a unique place. Anything that you found here that you're like, oh, I wasn't expecting that?
You know, you do look at the mountains every day and sometimes you're like, I think those are fake. Almost like you could pick them.
Especially from your office.
Right. It's an amazing view. I'm not going to lie. The stadium looks right out into the mountains.
Yeah.
And it's kind of different for the fact that, again, for me, come from the Midwest, right? So a lot of flat land. We'll call it mountainous some places.
Yeah, true.
But literally the mountains here in Utah are amazing. The landscape is beautiful. The ability to do hiking and biking and skiing. I'm a big skier, so that helps. Not necessarily this year, but
yeah, no doubt.
most years. And it just is it's a beautiful place. The people are really kind. And it's been a place where I feel very welcomed. And I think part of that is probably my superiors and my bosses. And then my staff has been just the ability to adjust, change, accept. All of that has been amazing. But yeah, the valley is a different space. Inversion is unique.
Yep.
And there's some unique laws here in Utah that I was not expecting. And I probably should have done a little bit more research, but it's a really unique and neat space to just be and live. And the mountains do look fake on a daily basis.
Yes, I would agree with you, especially springtime, snow cap, and now it's so nice. Tell us kind of your responsibilities on campus, because it's not just for the football stadium, Rice Eccles, and for the Huntsman Center, right? It's
Correct.
for all campus events.
Correct. So we have a lot of support that we help from any of the entities on campus, whether it be the President's House, setting up and tearing down, staging, being able to drop off tables and chairs. The uniqueness is that we can do that all in-house. And so while we do host a lot of events in Rice Eccles Stadium and obviously the Huntsman, from athletics to non-athletic events to special events, concerts, you name it, we also do support the campus a lot. And that could be in many different ways, actually, whether it be collaboration or equipment or personnel. It's great to be able to have those amenities at your resource, so that you can help out with whatever's needed.
So the first time I came to shadow you at Rice Eccles Stadium football was November 1st. And people here in Utah, they'll know we've had a pretty dry winter. And so November, we're getting into it. And it was probably the rainiest day of 2025. It was crazy.
100%.
Like, I mean, it was really wild. That whole day was raining. It took me way longer in an Uber to get up to the stadium. And I just thought, okay, what am I coming into? Because I'd never seen you operate. I've never seen your team operate, and had never been to, you know, kind of the back of house kind of set for Rice Eccles Stadium. So I remember getting there, parking, going up, and then, you know, the 6th floor, I think, is where the command center sits now. That's your office, right?
Yeah.
The command center is you turn your office and totally, it's almost like not an office all of a sudden.
Correct.
How many people are you fitting in your office for the?
It's about 18. It's a tight fit. I'm not gonna lie.
That's incredible.
But yeah, you picked one of the worst weather days, worst football weather days that we had literally all season.
So I come up there and I'm soaking wet, and I wasn't even outside that long, and I go to the 6th floor and I see you. And I see the athletic department there. I'm seeing emergency services there. I'm seeing a meteorologist, and you're the captain. You're the one who all of this stuff is coming back to. Athletics is saying, hey, we got to open these doors. You said we have opened the doors, but not the bowl because you have lightning strikes. Like all these things are happening. So just walk us through like what is happening with you that day. How are you communicating? Who are the people that are key for you to keep involved? Where are you getting your information? I just think there's a million things happening on a rain day like that.
So the collaboration is key, right? I mean, there's a lot of people involved in that. Whatever statement goes out, whatever emergency management we put out, the command post is imperative for us. In the command post, there's a lot of entities working all together. We have a lot of camera angles that we're looking at. We have a lot of UDOT is there looking at traffic patterns. We have the meteorologist, which was key on that day because we did have lightning that kept coming closer and closer. And there is NCAA protocol, 8 miles out is evacuation. And so toying with those and trying to figure out like what's the best process, right? We know how we're going to clear the stadium and we're going to put people, but what communication goes out and how do you make sure that people are getting the right information to try to not enter the bowl at this time because obviously it's raining and we're going to have to clear them at some point. There's we have University PD in there. We have our command center, the phone people. We have meteorologists, we have UDOT, we have EMS, we have emergency management. All of these entities are kind of working together. And then in the suite next to that, we have athletics, we have our multimedia communications person, we have our person that's running Utah 360, and then we have myself that is kind of, again, just collaborating, right? The biggest key point was to make sure the message was consistent because what can happen is all of those groups kind of work independently, right? So we're all have independent sources that we're putting out, whether it be Twitter or Utah 360 or something on our Facebook page and making sure that that message is consistent. So when we say, hey, there is a rain delay, please shelter in place. We'll let you know when things happen. And that was probably the best communication piece because we were having weather and without knowing, right? Unfortunately, you can't make people clear the bowl if they decide not to, which was the case. There was a few that sat out in the rain. We put the same thing up on the video board. You're making sure that your patrons are safe. You're making sure your teams are safe, your officials, and then just your staff, right? You don't want to put them out in situations that can cause harm or issue. And so CSC, CMG, which are two of our security entities, are also in there and just making sure that message is consistent so that when the public enter, again, you're saying the same thing. So it's not the game of telephone, right? They said, we said, she said kind of thing, which makes it a little bit better. And really, it's the collaboration, right? Getting all in a room, having the same conversation, doing the 1, 2, 3 break kind of moment, and then being able to have that communication go out to the right people. And it's really about having the right people in the room.
What I saw, I totally saw the athletic department, whoever the assistant AD over facilities, I think it's Gavin who was in there. And you two have a pretty tight relationship because he's communicating to obviously athletic department but obviously nothing happens without you saying, all right, like let's get things moving. So I watched that, very clean collaboration between you two go on. And it was just fascinating to watch it all. And I think there was a 15-minute delay, maybe, or did we?
By the time we were done,
It's
and then every lightning strike after that is another 30 minutes. But we just happen to have within 8 miles, and again, everybody's watching the meteorologist, right? We're like circling over him like a bunch of birds. We're like, tell us when the next thing is going to happen. He was like, it's 20 miles out. It's and then you wait for that lightning strike, and that you do have to delay the game. And Gavin is communicating with his staff on the field.
That's right.
That's communicating to the officials and obviously to the visiting team and home team, saying, hey, we got to clear this. And it's never a fun conversation, right? Nobody ever really wants to clear the bowl. But from a safety standpoint, you're in a large space that has metal, and lightning is an issue and can be an issue. So same thing with the cars outside and making sure the patrons are safe. If you would have gone on the concourse that day, it was a little tight. We cleared everybody in there. It was a little muggy because of the rain and people in close proximity. But again, our emergency management teams were ready on both east and west sides in case something happened. We made sure that people were in spaces that they needed to be. And then on top of that, we also had our custodial crew trying to, mop up spills, messes, wet spaces, put out the signs that say, be careful, all those things. And unfortunately, it was a short time, which was great. But it was a moment where people are just waiting, right? And the anticipation is sometimes worse. And so it ended up being a very short delay, which is great. That cell passed us, and then we worried about the next cells that were coming that could have provided more, and they actually diverted and went around us. And so a lot of us were doing the non-lightning dance in that space, which we think worked. So
Well, the next game I came to, the meteorologist had the most boring job, which was good.
Yes.
We wanted the meteorologist to have a boring job.
Yeah, they truly enjoy not having anybody look over their shoulder and just being like, everything's clear. Skies are great.
He was left alone and everybody else was just doing their work. So no, it was a fascinating night to see. And I appreciated that you letting me come up there. We talked about your team, how you're cross-functional with all these folks, with third parties that you're working with and different groups. But let's talk about technology, but specifically like, what is AI doing in your world that is helping you? How are you using AI on a daily basis? Are you using it to help manage events? Just, I'm curious with everybody using AI now, what it looks like in your world.
I think that it is the new adjustment, right? The new change. I think that while we're using it sometimes to take long messages and make them shorter, right? When you say, hey, can you take this page and make it to 2 pages, or can you take this page and make it to a paragraph, right? It summarizes it. Sometimes it uses a little bit too big of language right now. And we're trying to summarize to make it easier for people to understand. I do think that we are in an age that things are going to change. We've used it at other places for time management to see how long the lines are, queuing and those kind of things. There's a lot of programs out there that do that. But I do think that the movement into AI isn't going to stop. And so how do you utilize that to better your events, right? Is that being able to upgrade some of your signage? Is it taking it and making it so communication is easier? Is it putting out different blurbs or information to people that are different directives in different directions? So I think that while that's evolving, it's so new still. I think in the athletics and operations world, we're still trying to figure out like how that helps. And it does. It's going to have an assistance in everything that we do. But what direction, do we want to head with that is probably the biggest piece right now. Most of the time we're using it to try to take a lot of information and make it just more condensed and simpler, just because we have lots of protocols and procedures that we're dealing with on a regular basis, and taking that and saying, okay, now this 4-page document, can you make it a summary page? And so that it takes kind of some key points. And even then you're like, well, we're missing a few of those, but it did a really, it did a good job. And it takes some of the time management, makes it a little bit less. But I think the evolvement and just the changes that are being made in operations in general, right? The technology from having enough camera angles and places and stations, right? That's a key thing because it helps us identify. Being able we have a fan up phone so people can call in issues and problems. We switched from a platform to Switchbase just recently, which has allowed us to actually do a lot more things, as well as have a dashboard that people from a high level, right? They don't need all the details. They don't want all the details, but it allows us to take that snapshot and show them like the percentages of combo spills or restroom plumbing issues or patrons having medical problems or our police and what they're doing at that time. So I think that just the technology in general, watching UDOT and seeing the traffic patterns, knowing the ins and outs and the egress of your station and your place. And then as well, the meteorologist is key for us. That allows us to, weather is going to happen. We're not a bowl that has a roof, right? We're an open stadium.
That's right.
And so trying to figure out ahead of time and plan and program for the things that happen in your venue, that's a key.
Interesting. Yeah, it's fascinating. There's, as I've witnessed when I stepped into the command centers and different places, so much is hitting you during these events. And so you have cameras and you have text messages and you have calls and you have all this, and we can, we're essentially taking that, we can centralize that. And I've seen how AI is going to be able to help work with you and your team, say, this is where we need to focus quickly and where we need to act. So it's just fascinating to hear from you where you see that. So it seems like from your standpoint, it's still an evolving presence maybe in the world that we're trying to figure out.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of opportunities to utilize it. It's just figuring out what the best opportunities there are and how it benefits, right, what we do. And I think there are a lot of benefits out there. I just think it's so new that people are still trying to figure out like how it works within the system that we use. But I do think it's helped in just the communication. And again, taking long stories and taking them a lot shorter because people read just a few minutes or a blurb of things. And so that's helped in the fact that that communication piece is key.
So when we were kind of preparing for this and just talking through some of the things that you live by, you said we have a mantra. You have a mantra that you live by. And it was small changes can make big impacts. Help me understand why you live by this and what do you mean by that?
I think as you take on new responsibilities and roles in your life, you have to figure out what adaptations, what changes, what evolvement you can make. And I think for this job specifically, they already had that platform. So it wasn't trying to take things and blow up the way we're doing things, or come in and, clear house or make these big changes that then people, right? It's a panic moment. Nobody really likes change. While it needs to happen, nobody really likes it. And so looking at the big picture and taking little entities out of it and making small changes in the way that we maybe design our gates, or the pictures that we put out, or the social media that we make sure is communicated. So those are, it makes such big changes that are so impactful, and it's not taking things and destroying them and rebuilding them. You don't need to recreate the wheel. You just need to make it work better. And that's a key component to kind of how we do things. In CD Marina Campus Event Services. It's looking at the efficiencies, right? Because while you're doing something great and well, can it be done better? And maybe the opportunity is not there. Maybe you're doing it the best of the ability, or the best of whatever you can do. But sometimes small changes just make such big things happen. Or I think if you're not evolving and trying to look at ways to better your operation, to make things more efficient, to be able to just improve upon what you're already doing, then you're not doing the right thing. I don't think you need to change all that you're doing, but I do think as things evolve, AI is a great example. You need to figure out how that works within your system or your protocols or your procedures. So safety and security are a top priority for us.
Sure.
The biggest change that we probably made this year was our gates.
Okay.
If you went to Rice Eccles a couple of years ago, when we got the Evolve system, which is our security measures, right? So checking bags and such. We took our platform and made our perimeter really big, which meant lots of fencing.
I remember
And
that.
so it made it very unapproachable, right? It looked kind of scary when you walked up to it.
Yep.
My first game when I came here in November of last year was the same thing. I walked up and I was like, that's a lot of fencing. How do you get in? Where are the entrances? Those kind of things. And so we went to a different venue and saw their platform and how they lay things out. My police lieutenant at the time was like, I think we could do this. And I was like, I would love to try this. And again, small changes. So we adjusted one of the gates, actually gate L, at the stadium. And he said, we'll watch it on the camera. We'll see how things operate. And I think it's going to be great. And I was like, we'll start there. And then if it works, then we'll go to the other gates. The efficiency of it was so much better. We changed ticketing versus scanning versus bag checking.
Wow.
We extended out a little bit further into the platform, which made it easier for people to queue.
Okay.
They could find the lines. They figured out where things went, right? We're kind of creatures of habit. And so we find the shortest line and we join. But that was a small change that really, then we took all the fencing down around the stadium, which made it look approachable. It made it look like it was a football venue or a special event. We tried it with other events before we tried it with our football games. So we tried it and had our athletic partners come and kind of see how it operates and runs. And they're like, oh, I think that works. And I was like, great, we're going to make that change. And so that's kind of, again, just a small change that made a really big impact. Social media, people were happier, right? Everybody loves to be a tough guy. So they commented how it looked better. The accessibility was easier.
So you actually saw fans
Yes.
actually commenting on that.
Which was great because,
great.
sometimes it's not always the most positive reviews.
Totally.
So we hope that there's some positive things that come from it. And so the comments were really great. And part of that came via messages or the fan up or through Twitter, all the good things, right?
So I'll see it. That's fantastic. That's powerful stuff. In fact, you mentioned going to other venues to see this, and I've watched this over and over. Is you have an event coming in, concert, whatever it is, and you'll go to the previous place that artist was and go watch how it is, and then they you can kind of operate better. It sounds like, and I've witnessed this, but I'd love to get your thoughts on just the community of it all. Sounds like you're pretty well connected, that you all talk a lot, people that run these events. Tell us a little bit more about that. We've been very much exposed to IEVM here in Utah, but there's many other organizations and places that or that if anybody's listening would be interested in hearing where you spend time, where your community is.
Yep. So IVM is really strong here in Utah, which is great. That impact and being able to have that communication piece and sending out messages about how do you do this, or have you had these problems, or what do you use for pest control, those kind of things is a great resource. I've been blessed that I was actually in athletics for the last 20-ish years.
Sure.
And so CEFMA, which is Collegiate Events Facilities Management Association, is part of an overall athletics umbrella. And that's really facilities and events is kind of the path that I've taken to get to where I am at now.
Of course.
And so that is a great community. Same thing. They have boards you can put out. I've also been really blessed that I have a lot of really strong females that I've been able to connect with.
Awesome.
And a lot of them run venues or work in academics or work in other spaces, whether it be special events or athletics or whatever the case may be.
Great.
And so being able to literally utilize those resources are a key component, because then you're not trying to recreate the wheel, right?
Totally.
Like if they have a solution that works on their basketball court, what is it? I would like to use that. Or if they have a better way to clean turf that we haven't thought of, or a better way to set up an entrance. SoFi, we went there and made that connection and saw what they did, and we're like, this is better. We can do better.
That's awesome.
We're actually going to LSU this weekend.
Okay.
So Zach Bryan, we host that on August 7th. We're going to see that platform, that space, and how they set it up there.
Cool.
That's his first stop. And I have a best friend that I met in grad school that runs literally runs LSU. So excited to go see her and then be able to see that setup.
Wow.
Be part of their back of house, see how they operate and run, because everybody runs a little bit differently. And being able to have those amenities and be able to see the setups before they're at your venue, we always joke, but we try to control the chaos that consumes our events.
Totally.
Because you can plan and execute and have all these great protocols and procedures and everything in place, and you think that things are just going to be smooth sailing, and then someone has an issue and falls outside your venue.
Yep.
And then that backs up a line, and then other issues, problems, and things happen from that.
Totally.
So it's better. It's allowed us, and we've had the benefit of being able to go see the events before they come to our spaces for the most part. And then we've reciprocated that as well. We've had people come. Boise State came and was at our venue for Post Malone before they hosted it. So we've been on the other end of that, where we've been able to have people come and see how we run, how we operate, whether it be a football game or a special event.
Yep.
We had some MEX tour. We had some North Carolina people come to our MEX tour events.
Okay.
So it's beneficial both ways. And again, chaos is what controls events, and you just try to make sure that it works well.
Now you have a couple events, big events coming to Rice Eccles that have been announced. One of those is in conjunction with the NHL, and the other one is the Olympics.
Yes, we're excited for both of those.
So
actually.
the NHL, that's they call it their Winter Classic, I think is what it is. So that'll be fun to have them outdoor. Put a hockey rink down on the field, right?
Put a hockey rink in the middle of the football field. Yep. Yeah.
That's a great event, actually.
We're excited to host that. That's in collaboration too with the Mammoth or locally.
Sure. Yep.
And then as well the NHL. And they have been great partners in exploring our spaces and how we're going to lay things out. And, from a TV perspective, where we're going to put everything. Yep. It's a very large production, but we're really excited to host it. And I think our venue there will not be a bad seat in Rice Eccles Stadium to watch the hockey game.
That'll be a phenomenal event. Great for Utah. Well, Brooke, I have one last question for you. I always ask people in the industry that I meet, what's their most memorable event that they've either managed, put on, or have attended as just a general attendant, and just go and see. So I'm curious, what's yours?
I think mine would have to be, we hosted a Luke Bryan concert, sold out, 25,000 people.
This is not at the U.
No, this is not the U. Yep, this is at a different university.
Okay.
In collaboration with that, we also had a sold out men's basketball versus North Carolina, which was number one.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, at the time. So sold out basketball, 6,500 people strong.
Same day.
And the venues are actually connected.
Oh my gosh.
So the football, which is what it was, it's our football stadium, which was a dome, was connected to our basketball, volleyball, wrestling arena. And so there's a connection between them that has locker rooms and amenities and spaces. But realistically, it's two venues right next door to each other. Okay. And we knew we were going to have the concert, right? We were like, this is great. We're going to host it. It's our first concert back from a while. Again, I was new at the time, and I was like, want to do this? We're going to bring this concert back. And they were like, this is the date we choose. And we're like, great. Okay. Before basketball season came out.
Yep.
And they're like, hey, this is the only opportunity to play North Carolina in our basketball arena. And I was like, that's the same day as our Luke Bryan concert.
Well, you can't say no, though.
Yeah. And they're like, that's great. That's great. So what do we do? And I was like, okay, well, we're going to do both, but they can't be as close as they are. One was scheduled at 7:00. One was scheduled at 5:00. I was like, it would be a nightmare. So we decided to adjust some changes, right? We made 7:30 for the concert. So they moved it 30 minutes, which is a big deal. And then our basketball game moved up to 3:00. Okay. So 2:00 doors open. Yeah. So 2:00 doors open. piping and draping off spaces, making sure people aren't like crossing into like Luke Bryan and Jason Aldean and all the other people that were there, right? Like, so there's hopefully not like people aren't fans, right? That are like trying to get autographs and those kind of things. Our athletes were great. And so we have this game versus North Carolina. Everybody's like, I don't think you guys are going to win. And we're like, okay, well, we're the underdogs, and we're just.
Was your team ranked at the time?
No, we were not at all. Actually,
okay, wow.
So there was a connection with one of the players on North Carolina's team.
Got it.
So
Okay.
we were like, this is great. So they come to play at the McLeod Center, and game starts to get pretty close, and we're playing really good.
Yeah.
And again, it's sold out, right? So there's 6,500 people in the facility,
Okay.
rooting, screaming, yelling, having a
crazy.
great time. It comes down to it, and we win versus the number one team ranked in the nation at that time.
Oh,
So then you get a court rush,
Yeah, of
right?
course,
So you're
yeah.
trying to make sure that people are safe and get North Carolina off and taking care of that. And then everybody's like, that's great. Now you got to do the concert. And you're like, yes, we do. So we try to get the traffic out and move everybody off the court and, kind of reset the locker rooms and get our teams out of there so they're not in the concert space.
It's not the same venue though. It's the same venue that the concert's coming in.
It's a connected
Connected venue.
Yep.
That's right. you
So,
mentioned. Okay.
lo and behold, we get all that cleared out. Different crowd, right?
Yep.
Country crowd versus basketball crowd.
Very different.
Very different.
Very
So we get those, we get everybody cleared out. We start loading in for the concert for the patrons, right? We've been setting up, obviously, this concert for days, so
Yeah,
it's not
of
like
course.
that's new.
Yeah.
Concert goes off, sold out house, 25,000 people, max capacity, great time. Concert ends, everybody's happy. We get everybody out of the building. And then by the time we're done, I looked at my staff and I was like, I think we've been here for 36 hours. And they're like, no. And I'm like, yeah, we literally have been here. I mean, we're going on almost 3 days at this point. And it was just the communication, the collaboration, the meetings, the emails, getting people on campus, because again, 2 large events and literally the span of 8 hours, right, is a big thing. One sold out concert on a day is a big event. And then you add a basketball game that's sold out on top of that.
Yep.
It just was one of those moments where you get done and you kind of sit down, right, and you have a little bit of time to relax and you're like, we just did that. We just did that. And everybody's like, I can't believe it. And I was like, well, it was done. And so when people were like this, will I ever want to do it again? Absolutely not. But could we? Probably.
Wow.
So it was one of those moments where in your career, you try to put on the best of anything that you have. So whether it was the concert or the basketball game, we want to do the best, have the best customer service, patrons. You want people to come back or leave the venue and be like, I can't wait to come back to the next thing. And this was one of those events where it was dual events, literally in the same capacity. And people walked away and were like, that concert was so great. And walked away to the basketball game and was like, can you just believe we beat North Carolina? And I'm like, positive on both ends. And then we went home and I think everybody slept for the next 24 hours. But
wow.
Yeah.
Herculean effort. Did you have any that may have gone from the basketball game into the concert?
A lot of us actually. So the security, we use student security there and other entities, and they put in a really long days. I fed them some really good food, which is always helpful.
Always good.
The meals were good, which was a benefit. But it was really long days.
Wow.
A lot of water, a lot of standing. We tried to rotate to give breaks, right? Because at a certain point in time, when you're standing and doing bag checks or security or just back of house, it's a lot. And making sure people didn't lose their tempers or, at a certain point you kind of get a little giggly, everybody kind of changes, right? So you're like, hey, we're all here. We're all the same. Yeah. We're all wearing the same shoes. We're all doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So that positive attitude also helps, right? Like, we're here with you. We're doing all the same stuff. So it was one of those events where you walk away again and you're just like, we just pulled that off and we did both well. That's what you hope, right? You hope to do both well.
Yep.
But in hindsight, when you're doing 2 large events, sometimes you do them both good and not well. And we walked away and I could not have been prouder of that staff and everybody that collaborated with us, from our parking to our police to, everybody was like, I don't know that we can do this. And I was like, we're going to do this. It's going to be great. We're going to be fine.
So cool.
So, yeah.
Wow. What a story. What a cool way. Well, we're so grateful that you would join us here on the front row. Help us as we tell the stories of people like you who are out there making it special experiences for people like me that show up, and we don't understand everything that's going on behind the scenes, but really there's teams of people making sure that we're safe, that we're having a great experience, and that we can hopefully watch our team win or watch our favorite artist perform or whatever it is. But so thankful that you would share these stories, your wisdom with us, and just wish you all the best in everything you're doing at the U.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Appreciate it.